Good morning. Welcome to WillowBrook Apiary. Happy bees, healthy honey. Wanted to talk with you a little bit this morning about some of our native pollinators. Tried to get this little guy right here in our video. That's a little mason bee. I want to show you a little bit about what I'm doing to try to help these guys out. These guys being, of course, our native pollinators. So, in my yard, I've planted a lot of different things. Got a lot of these Rose of Sharon, which just absolutely have beautiful flowers on them. You see a lot of native pollinators, and even up here in this one, you had a honeybee. So a lot of these things that we do to help out our native pollinators are also helping out our honeybees. And everybody knows they could use a little help. One of the things that I've done is I've made these little native pollinator boxes. They're nothing fancy. Really nothing fancy at all. But what'll happen is in these native pollinator boxes that I've made and put up around the yard, the leafcutter bee and the orchard mason bee, will come in and they'll lay an egg in the very back of that tube, and then they'll put a little pollen and nectar. The mason bee I'm primarily going to speak about will then put a clay plug and lay another egg. Some more nectar and pollen, another clay plug, until they get all the way out to the outer end of the tube. I've got another one of those boxes right here, and this one you could actually see the mud that they've put in. And what they'll do is they'll lay their queen eggs, female eggs, way back here, nectar, pollen, clay, all the way up to about halfway. Then they start laying their male eggs. So the males are laid closest to the entrance. The reason that's important is because you'll have predatory wasps that'll come and chew open the end of that clay plug, and then they'll start eating the little developing grubs inside for their protein. So the males, even in the native pollination, are the sacrificial lamb. The males are the ones that get sacrificed. You only need one of those males to come out to populate those genetics. But the more queens come out, the more eggs can be laid, the better chance the species has of survival. So I put several of those native pollinator boxes up around the yard, and they help pollinate my peach trees over here, my cherry trees over here, peaches and cherries. Up on the other side of my hives, I've got apple trees. I've got my garden, squash and corn and beans and peas and all the stuff you grow in the garden. But I also gonna walk past my main apiary here. A little late in the year, but I found my son's nucleus hive is not queen right, the red one here. And one of my hives over here is not queen right. So I've got the brick standing up to let me know I need to keep an eye on that and go back in and find whether or not they've made themselves queen right, or I need to combine them. But I'm gonna walk over to my other son, Noah, my main videographer. I'm gonna walk over by his nucleus hive and show you one of the other plants that I've planted to try to help with the whole native pollinators and my honeybees. So here we are over here by Noah's hive. Recently put a Better Bee northern raised queen in there. That was his decision, he wanted to buy it. And then over here I have some bee balm, which is really coming to the end. There is some back in here still. And some Joe Pye weed. Now this is one that you see locally out in the fields this time of year. And it's a good nectar source, good pollen source late in the year. And then I also planted these wildflower seed packet, native wildflower seed packet. Got these pretty pink flowers here, a cool spider crawling out of it. Got these cool yellow flowers here. And then this one up here, which is a little different. Dainty, cute little thing. And there were some other flowers that had blossomed as well. I've got some cosmos on the other side. And then I can't take you in and show the last thing that I wanted to show from our native pollinators here, but I do have in the back of my garage a spot where some bumblebees had gotten in behind the plywood. Sorry, wanted to say sheetrock and I knew that wasn't right. They'd got behind the plywood and made a nest in the insulation along the bottom of the wall. I said, you know what? It's not a corner of the garage that I'm in very much. Why don't I just leave them be and see what they do? And I contemplated putting together a special little bumblebee hive and trying to transfer them over to it. But as I contemplated that, I was reading up on how they can be aggressive in protecting their nest. And I decided, you know, they're not hurting anything where they are. I'm just going to let them be right there. So I've created spaces that are welcoming and inviting for the native pollinators. Actually going to see if I can get over here to the Joe Pye weed, because native pollinator that we were just talking about, camera shy, but right in here, I don't know if you can see that or not, but we've got a bumblebee working that Joe Pye weed. So as I was saying, we try to make my yard just encouraging and inviting, with lots of nectar sources and home sites where they can put things that aren't going to the hive, or nesting tubes where they're not going to be in the way and bothering people. So thought I would just share with you a little short video on some of the things I'm doing around WillowBrook Apiary to help the native pollinators as well. As always, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that like button on the videos that you're enjoying so I know which ones to put more of out. And turn on that notification bell so you're getting the most up-to-date videos as they are being released. Doing a huge push right now, trying to get to 100 subscribers by October, and doing a social media push on that. But I'd like to also ask you, if you're watching this video, please share with your friends